First of all, you guys be nice, right? In the comments, be nice. Right? I'm not going to say it because we don't like to talk about people's looks. So leave that for you guys. But the fact is that when you have this, we will talk about the economic side in a second, but when you have this delusion, this expectation that a man is supposed to spend increasingly more and more and more on you, regardless of what your sexual market value is, this is causing, what do they call it? Hoflation. This is causing for a lot of people to just say, okay, I'm not going to do this, right? Not just because you can't afford it, you just don't see that it's worth doing. On to the other side, well, we'll do that in a second, but before, like, comment, subscribe, hit the notification bell so you don't miss new uploads. Hype the video. We're doing what we can with the algorithm changes, making changes with it. Part of those changes is we're trying to do more live streams. We get more interaction, more back and forth. We're just going to keep moving. So listen, yeah, on the other side of it, right? This is the other danger, right? Your income hasn't really changed, right? Inflation is eating away at most of whatever the cost of living adjustments, whatever little measly percentage increase you can get. But dates are getting more expensive. In Miami, it is what it is, right? That's a unique situation where you have this crossroads of delusion and excess in terms of expense. Dates cost more because people going there are spending the money. Now you've got the most beautiful people in the world, in the United States at least, going down to Miami. It's a place that you have to be beautiful to get in some of these clubs. We've covered at least 2 videos. One of the most recent one was the New Year's video where a woman was denied entry. Well, one of her friends was denied entry because she was too big. And, then the girlfriends kind of just left her, said, yeah, here's an Uber, go home. We're going to go out and party. Cruel, 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 cruel. But that segues into a third point of this video, and I think this is one that's critical. Girl code. How quickly you have this woman, the smaller, more petite woman, given her very real, reasonable approaches, reasonable takes on things. Hey, what about, you guys would have sex and let's be adult here. If a man is asking you to take you out and you're accepting, we're both underlying assuming you're trying to check, there's at least a physical chemistry there. You at least like the way that person looks and can see yourself physically intimate with them. It's not saying you have to, not saying that you have to, depending on the cost of a date. I want to move away from that. And I'm not ascribing to that. But eventually down the road, there is that expectation that that's supposed to happen. If she's saying you got to take me on 8 dates, right? At $250, a pop, you could do the math. That's $2,000. The problem is when the more attractive friend is telling you something reasonable. Well, it depends on the vibe, depends on how this and this goes. But girl code is telling you if she disagrees, you got to go with her. You got to agree with her, right? That's why they have that old adage, that joke, right? And don't shoot me. The fridge protecting the snacks, right? Listen, this is probably not your real lived experience. And I'm talking to the large friend. This is probably not your real lived experience, what you're talking about, what you're demanding. This is not reality. The other woman, she's talking more in line with probably what happens. But when you pretend like this is the case, you eliminate a lot of men from dating, right? Well, now we're just going to talk about it in a financial sense. If you are not making enough money, $250 on dates, when even they had that study that came out said men in relationships, they tend to spend per year $12,000 to $15,000 on their significant other, while she commiserately will spend something about $1,500 to $1,700. There's a huge disparity in what the expectation of a man is supposed to give, what a man is supposed to financially contribute to the person that he's with. We ignore the very real fact that we're not really making that much of a difference, especially when you talk about ages, right? And I know I'm throwing a lot of facts and figures at you, but I think it said, pound for pound, women out earn men, up until around age 25. Men need time to kind of circulate to make that happen. Women, for whatever reason, if you want to look at it as in the jobs they get with the degrees tend to pay more out the gate, and these other men who go into more trades need time for apprenticeship, need time to get their, get that money train going. But once it does, then you start to see the disparity. Well, on average, Black community speaking, right? Because those figures are in my head. We're talking 55,000 for the male, 50,000 for the female. This is the difference. So we're not economically more set to spend on what it ends up being lavish, expensive dates, because we're thinking, how many times are we expecting to date? Once a week at the least. Sometimes, especially in that early phases, it may be twice, right? It may be per month. How many times? 4, 5, 6. So if every time that man is footing the bill, that's an economic sort of drain on us. Let's take a little more macro view of it. If you're saying you make, call it $60,000 a year, say after taxes you left with 45. Now you've got your fixed income cost. You have to pay for housing, be that a mortgage, be that more realistically rent. And take that as a yearly expense and subtract that from what's left for you to pay. Then you've got groceries, then you've got utilities, probably a car note, probably insurance. Now you're saying you also have to take out another $10,000 for a significant other, or maybe call it $5,000 a year just for dates. At this point, it seems untenable. It seems as if, okay, if the cost of dating is solely on the man, I'm not going to argue that it shouldn't be different, but one, there should be we should change the focus in a way that a man going to pay for your date or the date, you should look at him and say, like, this is kind of dope. Because on a larger scale, this isn't something that regularly happens. Sure, I think a lot of it gets messed up and misconstrued when one woman is dating multiple men. Yeah, that cost is on each individual man, not just that one. But say it's just you guys, you're rocking together and you're putting all that expense on him. Something else in his life economically has to suffer for that to happen. Now, especially as you're younger, when you need time, when we're talking about investments, you need time for that cake to bake. That should be your main focus, setting yourself up for the future, because it comes faster than you really anticipate, faster than you think. When you look at the rising cost of everything, you know you want to put yourself in a financial position where you can weather that storm, especially if you're living longer. If it's going to cost you anywhere from $1.2 to $1.5 million to live through your retirement, why are you going to wait, or why are you going to spend most of that startup capital early on trying to impress someone who isn't doing that much better than you? Outside of your desire for them physically or wanting to be around them, you are putting yourself in debt to this system, not to the person, but to the system of dating. So what should we do instead? You should probably be more selective who you're dating. Right? You should probably be more selective in who you're dating. That way, one, you get rid of this kind of riffraff. You get rid of this kind of, you got to take me on 8 dates. You got to spend this. I'm not spending my money for people that you, on average, aren't really that attracted to versus a more competent sort of friend there. That way you get to say, if I only have $400 this month for discretionary funding, discretionary dates are discretionary. I want it to be with someone I actually want to spend time with. Someone that I'm actually physically attracted to, someone that I actually see a potential future with, because this is a limited resource. Not someone that just like, kind of looks good, but I can't really stand being around her. You'll end up paying for that. You'll end up paying for that. It helps weed out people that just have the expectation that you should be spending your money to simply hang out with them. It's probably the biggest, thing we can do to cut into this idea of this transactional nature of dating today. But if you got other ideas, I'd love to hear them down in the comments. If you see other videos on your screen, take a look at those. Let me know your thoughts about those in those videos. And if you listen to my voice now, you have not subscribed, I think you should. We're trying to build something dope. I'll see you in the next one.